I started my business when I was 70 years old, okay? And getting a construction license in the state of Florida is just not easy. I had to bring 2 huge suitcases with me filled with books. It's an open, people don't, they wait until they fall, break their hip,
Yep.
And then they're in rehab and they say, the doctor's releasing me tomorrow. Can you help me? And and you can get between $2,500 and well over $100,000 to remodel your home.
Wow.
And you deserve it. And it's one of the best kept secrets that the VA has.
Welcome to another episode of the Let's Get Comfy podcast. I'm your host, Norman Harris. This is the home for love, peace, joy, but most of all, comfort. Today, I have a special guest for you. Wonderful guest, someone that is doing amazing work for our senior citizens, our senior community, but also bringing awareness to healthcare in general. A pioneer, as I like to consider her as well. Miss Arlene Grosso. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much,
ma'am.
So much. Yes, ma'am.
Really
Thank
nice
you.
To be here.
Yes, it's an honor for me to have you. Ms. Grosso, I want to say this on camera. I am very grateful for your time today. This is a Saturday, right? Our shows is aired we shoot them on a Saturday. So this is her time out of her busy schedule to do this with me. So I'm very grateful. But also, I connect with you months back. You took the time without hesitation to set up a call with me, right? To listen to my goals, my vision, and what I wanted to become, and welcome me with open arms. Everybody doesn't do that, and people will try. You won't think so, but I'm learning slowly as I'm on this journey of entrepreneurship and sort of trying to live out, I believe, God's vision for me. Everyone doesn't have your best interests. And so when I meet people like you, I always want to take my time and show gratitude and gracefulness to you, but also to God as well, because I know that God put you part of my journey for a purpose and a reason. And to me, I'm always indebted for you giving me that opportunity. So I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
That's
not
my
for
pleasure.
The camera. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. But if I want to tell, so I gave that little spiel there, right? But I want to start out with you just telling the audience who you are, and what you provide in your services.
Okay, again, my name is Arlene Grosso, and together with my daughter, Denise Tomey, I started M&D Enterprises of FL Inc., which does business as access and design. I'm a licensed building contractor, and we provide solutions for and alternatives for people with physical challenges and businesses that have to adhere to the ADA requirements set by the statutes. Do you want me to tell how I got started?
Yeah. Well, no. Just tell the little bit of your history. You said you're an AARP ambassador.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
You promote home fit programs, offering no cost, low cost solutions to help seniors age in place. That's a huge thing that people probably don't even know, that there's ambassadors for AARP. They hear AARP and just think like, oh, it is not for me, But if you could just expound on that, just how you became a part of the AARP program.
Well, when I started my business, I took a course, actually an accelerator course that AARP put on for budding entrepreneurs to see if their business would be viable or not.
Wow.
So it was a great exercise, and I guess it proved to be viable because we've been in business 8 years now. But I met such wonderful people at AARP, and I said, what is this home fit program that I saw on your website? And they said, oh, we don't do that anymore because the person who used to do that, the occupational therapist, moved to Tennessee. And I said, oh, I'll do it.
There we go.
It's wonderful. You can go to aarp.com/homefit. No, I'm sorry. aarp.org/homefit.
.org.
Yes, .org. And you can order this booklet or you can view it online. It'll take you room to room. and it'll show you all the things you can do to age in place safely. And there's a lot of falls prevention that I put into my presentation.
Yeah.
But I do the presentation for people in mobile home parks, 55 plus communities, just at large, like the Retired Teachers Association.
Mm-hmm.
I just did a caregivers with Linda Burhans.
Miss
I was part of
Burhan.
her caregivers.
Hey, Linda. Yeah.
She's wonderful.
Amazing. Yes.
And so I was the opening segment for her caregivers conference and did the home fit program for
Wow.
that conference. But it's an amazing program, and it gives people an idea of what they can do to safely age in place.
Yes, ma'am.
And they don't know.
Mhm.
You don't come out of the womb knowing how you're going to be living when you get to be 80.
Oh no, and that's why we bring awareness with platforms like this. And I want to mention, because I think you probably are a modest person. That's what I'm feeling right now, but I'm not gonna let her get away with it. So she also serves as chair of the St. Petersburg Mayor's Commission on Aging, and has served on the Affordable Housing Advisory Council of the City of Largo. In 2022, she was honored to be inducted into the St. Petersburg Senior Hall of Fame for her volunteer work and helping people to safely age in place, along with accessibility solutions for people with disabilities. She founded and chairs the Falls Free Florida Falls Prevention Coalition, bringing together senior service professionals dedicated to reducing falls through education, awareness, and resources. And as you know, one mission of Comfort Measures Consulting is empowering people with knowledge and resources. And I have one of the best, a Hall of Famer, for us today. So let's,
that was a huge honor.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So let's get into what we know about you. And I always find it interesting when I see abbreviations. So after Arlene Grosso, there is CAPS, then there's SRES, and then ECHM.
Mm-hmm.
If you can sort of break down what those abbreviations mean. Yes, ma'am.
I'm very proud of those. It's a range of study, and then they provide you with designation. The CAPS is the Certified Aging in Place Specialist from the National Association of Builders.
Gotcha.
You have to take a series of courses, and then you're awarded that designation. I wanted to take that to bring some professionalism to this industry.
Do you remember the year at all?
It was actually 2016.
2016.
That's when I started my business.
Got you. So that was the time stamp. And was that the catalyst and the reason why you went for that certificate?
Absolutely.
Okay, understood.
Absolutely. Because there's so many contractors out there that don't study home modification.
Got you.
And we actually rip out a lot of things people do wrong. Okay, wow. And then homeowners have to pay for it twice.
Right.
So
and that's with access and the design, correct?
Yes.
Yes. All right.
Yes. So it's a great course. I recommend it for anyone, any contractor, that wants to be in this. In my class, I had more designers, which I thought was interesting, than contractors. I wish there were more contractors there.
Contractors?
Uh-huh. Come on, guys. You gotta get designation.
Yeah.
Gotta get professional.
Yes.
So, which I was glad to see. The designers were getting into helping people with home modification too.
Got it.
Because it's a big thing. It's a coming thing.
Okay.
There's more people aging right now. I always say we're reigning seniors. 10,000 a day are turning 65.
Wow, 10,000 a day turning 65. That's some statistics, right? So with the CAPS designation, you have earning that. Just how has that, you think, impact the growth of your organization, your business?
Well, I'm not so sure, because a lot of people don't know what it is. I did it mainly for myself, so that I would be confident and I would feel good that I am learning my trade with all the tools that I could find. Investing in yourself and right, so that I could help people the best that I could.
Understood. So when you deal with access and design, you have someone that has invested in their knowledge, right? Invested in the dedication even further, so that when she's approaching you and working with her clients, she's coming from a perspective where she has the knowledge base and information to successfully, provide the service. So that's very important. From there, that was 2016, right? 2016, you started Access and Design.
Correct.
Wow, Access and Design. And what was the catalyst and the motivation to start Access and Design?
My mom passed away at the age of 100. She had a beautiful, blessed life.
Wow.
And she lived in an assisted living facility for over 25 years.
Wow.
So you can imagine that the assessments totaled way over $500,000 during her lifetime. And then when she was unable to stay in her apartment, they had the nursing facility attached.
So she was staying in like a CCRC.
Yes, so she went into the memory care unit. And they really didn't help her. They really were not, she was the only sundowner. There were only 14 people on her floor. And I stayed there many, many nights. This was in Chicago, in the Chicagoland area, in Lombard, Illinois. And I constantly was going back and forth and forth and back and forth and back. I would just leave, and by the time I got home, there was a voicemail saying, "She won't eat, you have to come back." And I thought, why are you charging me $6,800 a month if you're not going to take care of her? Wow. Okay. $6,800. Yeah. Plus other things like getting your hair done, and then if you want to go on a trip or whatever, it's an extra charge, and everything's, oh, can you give us more money? We'd like a piano for our conference area. Would you like to donate? Right. No, honestly, I really wouldn't. Take care of my mother.
You take care of my mother.
And of course, she hated leaving her apartment. And when you go into memory care units, everyone will always say, "Can you take me home? Is it time for me to go home? Can you take me home?" Because their surroundings and environment were severely disrupted. And when you see people that are older, okay, and I'm going to say 60s and up, they really don't want to leave their home.
No.
They've had their children raised through that home. It's probably too big for them. There's a lot more room than what they need, but they don't want to leave that home. That's their safe haven, and that's where they feel right.
Right. That's something that they work for years to actually, possess, own, outright own, right?
Yeah.
Saved for. That sort of, they had that planned out from a budget standpoint to not have that bill anymore. And so, of course, they want to stay in their home, right? Especially when you get to that age where your income is sort of subsidized or it changes as well.
Right.
So, yes, ma'am, I don't blame them, right, to wanting to age in place.
Right. More than 95% of the people want to stay in their homes. And when I do the AARP Home Fit presentations, I'll say, "Does anybody want to go to a nursing home?" And no one raises their hand. They want to stay in their homes.
Yes, ma'am. Yep. So that's an amazing story of how Access Design actually was started.
Right.
So, and you said your part owner is
my daughter.
Your daughter, yeah. So give her a big shout out.
Denise.
Yes.
She's fabulous, actually.
Hey, Denise.
And all the customers love her. She does the operations for our company now, and she's doing a fantastic job. Okay. She does a lot of work with the VA. We have a lot of work that comes through from the VA, and helping our veterans is something we really take to heart. So we do the grants, and if anyone out there, okay, is having some physical challenges and want to stay in their home, but they find it really difficult to maintain their independence because of those challenges, and if you're getting benefits through your VA, you can go to the prosthetics department through your doctor, okay? If you have a disability, and you can get between $2,500 and well over $100,000 to remodel your home. Wow. And you deserve it. And it's one of the best kept secrets that the VA has.
Our veterans out there, Access and Design, if you'd like to know more, Arlene Grosso is your resource for that, right? She'll be able to assist you with that. Thank you for sharing that with the audience. That's amazing.
Yes. So we do a lot of zero entry showers for people who are contained in a wheelchair. We do a lot of door widening. We put in lifts. We do stair lifts. We do what we call hybrid elevators, up to 3 stories tall, and then just the porch lifts to get people. The mobile homes now have been getting higher and higher and higher over
Yes.
time, and now after these latest storms, they're going to be even higher.
Might be on stilts or something,
yeah,
like the tall.
right.
Yeah.
And to be able to get in the home
Mhm.
when you're having physical challenges, if you used a ramp, it would be curling back and forth all throughout your carport, and then you wouldn't be able to park on the street, and you can't park in the street on most mobile homes.
Right, you're right.
So you would really have to park at the clubhouse and then get in your wheelchair in the rain and come home. That's not convenient. Okay, so that's why they make these sort of vertical platform lifts, which is a small footprint, so you can still pull your car in the garage and then utilize that.
At Comfort Measures Consulting, we're here to help you navigate the complexity of healthcare. If you're caring for a loved one as a caregiver, you don't have resources, you don't know what questions to ask, you need to have options, right? Give Comfort Measures a call. Give us a chance. First consultation is free. Speak with me, Comfort Measures Consultant, 850-879-2182. You can also visit our website at www.comfortmeasuresconsulting.com. Talk to you soon.
That's amazing. So I want to something you mentioned that I want to make sure we speak about, because of course I always want to make sure we have information and insight for our caregivers out there. You were a caregiver yourself with your mother. Now, did that impact your sort of motivation to begin accessing design and sort of help people that were sort of wanting to be at home?
Yes,
in place? Okay.
That's the real reason I started my business, was because of my caregiving experience. And I didn't know what to do to keep my mom in her apartment. And she was always so anxious and so sad. She kept on saying, I just want to go home. I just want to go home. And had I known then what I know now, would have been very simple. So I made it my life's goal to find out how to keep people in their homes so that they would be able to stay there no matter what.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. And we know that this comes from a place of experience, right? A place of passion, and also care, and knowing that this is the thing that amazed me about Ms. Grosso. And this is really personal for me, is because the same way you have the passion for your mom, you're able to share that feeling with others as well.
Correct.
Right. And I could feel it through the phone calls that we had, virtual call that we had. Like you could easily tell that you mean this from the bottom of your heart, and it comes from a place of experience and knowledge. So you know what those caregivers out there are going through, and you know how to sort of address it because you've been through it and you were there in that time period where you didn't know what to do. Right. So that's amazing.
So when I started my business, my daughter Denise said, well, how about if I go in business with you? I said, well, she had a very large job. She was a big executive with a textbook company that then was going to virtual learning.
Okay.
And she said, it just makes me so sad, Mom, that they're charging the same amount of money for textbooks that they are for plugging something into the computer. She said, and that's not right. So these professors make a lot of money by writing a textbook. So she was an editor and a regional sales director, actually, for the southeastern region of the United States.
Wow.
So she had a really big job. And I said, you really want to give all that up? She said, I'm just not happy.
Wow.
So she has put her heart and soul into the business, and the customers understand that. I mean, she's had customers come to her home overnight when their loved ones are in rehab and they feel uncomfortable being alone.
Wow.
And they're very sad. So she'll invite them over for dinner and then have them stay at her house because her kids are in college and she's got extra bedrooms.
Wow.
So she really, we go way above the call of duty a lot of the times.
I would like for you to introduce me at some point to Miss Denise.
Yes.
I mean, I'd love to hear more of her story as well. That's amazing. And right, apple don't fall far from the tree, they say.
That's right.
Yeah. So SRES.
Correct.
All right.
That's
What
the
what
senior
year?
real estate specialist.
Senior real estate specialist. Now I know that was a milestone for you as well. What
Right.
was the story behind that?
Well, I've been in real estate since I was 21, and I'm going to be 80 in July. So it's been a long time, long real estate career. And when I saw the opportunity to get some education on how to deal with seniors, sometimes if people want to say, okay, well, this is how much it's going to cost to remodel your home so that you can stay here safely.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you don't want to spend that, maybe we want to try to find a situation, if you want, that's smaller. You can downsize and certainly get something that's easier to manage, like a zero entry home.
Mm-hmm.
So they're able to weigh the difference. That's why I keep my real estate license. So, but I have to say, most of the people end up staying at their own home. They just don't want to leave.
That's on leave.
Yeah, and it
Okay.
makes us feel so good that they're so happy when the modifications are done, that their environment has changed so that they can independently continue doing what they love to do.
That's amazing. So with your real estate license, you have it like investing in like properties or anything like that?
Well, I don't take on a lot of new clients. I only do referrals. So people that I've sold to in the past. I was an international broker for a property in Costa Rica for a while when my mom was first diagnosed with dementia. And she also had colon cancer. And when I was in the waiting room, I continued to do business because I was doing business with brokers literally all around the world. So at 2:00 in the morning, I was often speaking to someone in different parts of the world.
Parts of the world.
Yeah. So the person I reported to said, "What's all that noise?" I said, "Oh, it's just I'm right by the emergency room because my mother's having surgery, and that's where the waiting room was." And he said, "Well, you can't do that." He said, "You have to take a leave of absence." And I said, "Well, I don't need a leave of absence." I said, "Because I work probably around the clock most of the time. I don't really sleep."
Wow.
And he said, "No, you can't do that." So I got fired.
What?
And I was on a draw as a commission salesperson broker, but if you don't get the back end of it unless you're there when the property closes. So obviously I wasn't going to be there when the property closes, so I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah, because I was the sole broker on that property. So anyway,
So you fired
so I got fired. Yeah,
because you were with your mom.
because I was with my mom in the hospital and I was on the computer
working. Your job was mostly remote.
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yes.
100%.
Yes, I wasn't going to fly to Australia to talk to somebody in Australia.
Exactly.
Yeah. So some people are not compassionate, and that's why employers need to learn, especially that caregivers need a little wiggle room in their job.
Yes.
And they'll probably be the best employees because they would so appreciate an extra hour off here and there.
It means so
and
much.
then they would certainly make that up.
Yep.
You know.
What year was that? When it happened? When?
Gosh, that was before I opened my business.
Before you, right? Was it right before?
So it was like early 2015. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I look at that from a motivational piece, a stepping stone, and I know probably at that time, like, were you thinking like, man, why me? Like, why me, God? Why is this happening at this point in time? Or no, you didn't?
No,
Okay.
He was a very difficult man to work with, and and I did a lot for that company, and I felt that I was doing a really good job, and if someone didn't have that respect for me, then I certainly could go elsewhere.
Yeah. Thank you. She had options.
When you work for yourself, you always have an option.
Yeah. Yes.
So then my mom died Mother's Day of 2015, and that's when shortly thereafter I said I did spend a lot of my retirement going back and forth for my mom because she refused to leave her place and come to Florida. I did bring her here, and I was going to try to get her into an assisted living in Florida, but she wanted absolutely nothing to do with that. And she was crying all the time, and so I had to take her back to Chicago and put her in her place. And she said, even though she wasn't that happy there. She wanted to be in her apartment. She didn't want to be in the member care unit, but
So
she didn't want to be in Florida either.
Right, so 2015 was pretty
It was a
big
tough year.
year. Yeah, that was a year
Yeah.
for you. Yeah.
Yeah, so then I decided I had to go back to work. I didn't really want to go back into real estate full time. So I really wanted to keep people in their home. That was my goal.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that story too. So now we're at the ECHM.
The Executive Certificate of Home Modification.
Okay.
That's through the Leonard Davis School of Gerontology, one of the oldest gerontology schools and one of the best in the world, actually, at the University of Southern California, Berkeley. And that's a online course that you take. You take several courses for the designation, and I have to say it's one of the best courses on home modification out there.
Okay.
And I met people from all around the world that were taking that course too.
Wow.
Online, yeah.
And what year was this? Do you remember the year for that?
That was probably 2017.
2017.
Early,
So was there a story behind this milestone?
No, just that I wanted to further, my education.
Okay. All right, education and growth is very important to you. I see that.
Right.
So that's really good. So what would you say was your biggest pivot in life? I know you've mentioned things, but I still want to hear it. What was your biggest pivot in life, you would say?
Probably when I had to raise my children all by myself. My husband was a drug addict, and I went through some very difficult times. But we became such a close family. I have a son and two daughters. Right, and my mother helped me tremendously because I had to go out from home. We were in the construction business, okay, so I was able to run the business through the home, and he would be golfing all the time.
Golfing, huh?
Yeah, he was quite the golfer. He was even invited by the King of Morocco to golf on his private golf course. Wow. Because he was such a big gambler. But it was very difficult because he left me in a huge debt because of his drug addiction. So I worked out of that and never asked for any assistance from the government. I just went to work, and my mom watched my kids while I started out working.
Why? Why didn't you ask for assistance? Is it because you didn't know?
Well, I just didn't feel. I felt that I was able-bodied, and if you're able-bodied, and if you have help with babysitting, so that you can go out to work,
right?
I think people should.
Got it. I understand.
It's a matter of principle.
Right, matter of principle.
Right.
Okay, I just want that to be said. That's all. Wow, there's always a journey and a story that people go through. And I bet that was tough, you having 3 kids. What was there large age gaps with the kids?
Well, my 2 girls are 18 months apart, but then my son was 2 years later, two and a half years later.
Wow. Yeah,
than the next one. So he took me a little while to get pregnant. We were trying for that boy at the time.
Got it. Wow.
If you're having 2 girls.
Where are your kids now? Where are they living? Are they in Florida, close to you?
No, my son is in San Francisco. My middle daughter's in Chicago area, River Forest, Illinois. Okay. And then my daughter, of course, is here in St. Petersburg.
I'm new, man. Well, so you have amazing mother, and you can see her sacrifice here. So, but thank you for sharing that. I always have ultimate respect, definitely with me working in skilled nursing. As an administrator, a lot of my staff, probably maybe like 95% are women. And so you see the struggles in their stories of how they've been having to be independent and working hard and still providing at home, schoolwork, cooking, all of those duties, 12-hour shift on their feet, and then still come back to work the next day. And so for me, I always used to say, man, women are stronger than men. I say that all the time. Like mentally, maybe, I don't know if you want to say muscle-wise, but mentally, women are very strong. Like, because a man can't put up with that. Well, I'll just say me, I can't.
Yeah, it never fails when you really had the worst day of the week and you come home and they say, Mom, we have to go to Walgreens. I need notebook paper. What?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, let's get in the car.
Let's get in the
Let's
car and
go.
go. Wow. Yeah, that's so as far as for a caregiver, I want to highlight something, but from your perspective, if you can speak to someone that maybe is 50, 55, age adult, and give them an example of the best way how to prepare their home sort of against falls.
Well, this is
And they have the money.
odd that you came up with that 50. After we were in business for a while, my daughter and I had a discussion saying if we could only educate and reach the people who are 50, their kids have just finished possibly college, okay, and now it's time for them to think, do we want to stay here or do we want to downsize? What do we want to do? And let's try to find our forever home. If you can possibly come to that point in your life where you can make that decision, it would be so easy then when it comes time, or if it comes time, that you need to have a universally designed home, which is something designed that can be used by anyone of any ability. Okay, so but people don't. They wait until they fall, break their hip.
Yep.
And then they're in rehab and they say, the doctor's releasing me tomorrow. Can you help me? And we say, I'm sorry. Well, we need a little bit more lead time.
Right.
But if people would, the nicest thing to do would be to explain if they have any history of degenerative diseases in their, or if they have been diagnosed with anything that hasn't really made them have any physical challenges yet. These are the things that you can do in increments as your disease further degenerates you.
Okay.
If we could get a hold of people when they're 50 and do a little consulting with them, that would be great. They would be able to know. And 10 years from that point in time, the materials are going to be more expensive than they would be at that time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And will you still be working 10 years from that point so that you can afford these improvements?
Afford those improvements.
Exactly. Yes. Or be able to qualify for a loan at that point in time. Things happen to people when they get older, and sometimes the rug gets pulled out from underneath them, and it's very difficult for them to make these modifications. That's why we develop so many resources for people.
That is really interesting. It's like almost can be seen as preparing for retirement. You have your retirement savings plan, your 401k or your savings investments. This is a part of that process.
Right.
However, you can have all that money saved, but one fall because you didn't prepare in that area. Now you end up in a skilled nursing facility for the next remaining 20, 25 years of your life. You prepared financially, but you didn't prepare as the safety measures to prevent some of those falls. Falls are one of the leading causes for people, older adults, ER visits. One of the leading causes.
For death and injury, actually.
Death and injuries, yes, ma'am. So we're going to take a pause, and I have a special surprise for you. So somebody, when they were younger, I found this out, was a cheerleader. So just tell me.
I still am, actually.
You're still a cheerleader? Okay, so I wanted to do something for the audience here. Back in high school, you cheered in high school, right? Can you give us your favorite chant for the audience? Your favorite chant.
Well, my favorite would be, because it's my alma mater, it's give me an O, give me an A, give me a K, give me a P, give me an A, give me an R, give me another K. And that's, what's it spell? Oak Park. Louder! Oak Park. Louder! Then you jump up, and I couldn't do that now. Yep. Because it was just because it meant something to you. It's your school name.
Your school name. All right. Oak Park. What was your mascot?
Huskies.
Oak Park Huskies. And did you cheer for basketball, football, all the sports? Or?
Yes.
Right.
And then I had knee problems. And then I was a wrestling cheerleader because you sit on the floor when they wrestle, because otherwise you'd block somebody's view.
Oh, wow. I never knew about wrestling cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Oh, so you cheered year round.
Well, yeah,
Almost.
we did, but then that was my sophomore year. You can't be a cheerleader when you're a freshman.
Oh.
So you learn the things, and then you try out for your sophomore year. And then my junior year, I was a wrestling cheerleader, and then my knee just got so bad that I became a synchronized swimmer.
Okay.
So I was on that team.
Right. Wow. So, did your daughters pick up any cheerleading as well?
No, no, they didn't. But I played the cello in the orchestra, and of course, my father was in the piano business. He was a piano tuner and a piano technician. So we always took piano lessons, and I took cello lessons. Besides being a cheerleader and all these other things I was involved in. But I was always busy.
You're always busy.
Always a busy person.
Always busy.
And I always say, if you want something to get done, ask a busy person because they'll do it.
Oh, okay. All right. And that's why I asked her to join the show. Right. Well, that's good though. But thank you for sharing that. That's why I sort of give you those, I guess, questionnaire just to learn a little bit about you. And I said, look at, she was a cheerleader and a swimmer as well. So those are wonderful activities to be a part of. And I'm guess get my kids involved. And my daughter wants to play tennis now. So I said, hey, if she's interested in it, I'll let her try it out. So
my kids all played an instrument. They were in all types of sports, and it's just something that it gives them some rounding in their life. They're so well rounded, So they might find something that they really love doing, and they'll pursue for the rest of their life. Or being involved on a team too is just good experience.
Good experience. My dad
gotta learn how to lose.
Gotta learn how to lose. My dad always said he'd always like give advice to men like that are fathers. He would say, if you're raising a son, put him in sports. He said that's a good start right there. Put him in sports, give him something to do, keep him busy. Yeah. And because sports teach them things in different attributes that you can't just teach at home.
Right.
You can't teach at home. And it takes a village. They always say you can't teach everything. You're going to miss some things. But putting them in the right environments and the right thing, it can actually benefit a lot. And I learned a lot from playing sports. I played sports since I was like 4 years old. So that was great. But that ends our segment of fun, the cheerleading. I was like, okay, Ms. Grosso was a cheerleader. All right,
I just want to say thank you for not making me try to do a split screen.
No. I don't think your kids watching, they would appreciate me doing that, right? They'd be upset with me. So I want to go into Falls Free Florida, the coalition, the origins of it. If you'll just share it with the audience there. And actually, if we can entice them to join us.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
We would love to further expand. We have 186 people in the original group that get the emails. Not everybody attends all the meetings because I know that they're busy and they have other commitments. But they love getting the meeting minutes from Jennifer Trevino, who was on your show. She is such a fastidious note taker, and it's like just being there. You get the information.
She's very smart.
Yes,
very smart.
Very smart. Very smart gal. I love working with her too. She does great consultations as an occupational therapist, and she's taken it upon herself to get a lot of designations too.
So functionalities for life.
Yes. She's a very, very wonderful person also. So we're just in Pinellas County. I was a member of the Better Living for Seniors organization, which is an arm of the the AAA, the Area Agency on Aging. Every county has one.
Yep.
And that's like the fundraising arm for the Area Agency on Aging. So when I first joined and I started my business, somebody said, why don't you join Better Living for Seniors? And I said, okay, I did. And it was a great networking experience. And I signed up to be on the Falls Prevention Committee, where I met Carol Ware and Christine Hamacher. And Carol Ware was the chair. And then I think Christine was the vice chair at that time. Then she left to do SAGES. And Carol said, do you want to be vice chair? So that's what happened then when Carol left, because she was she had more duties at the Sunshine Center in St. Petersburg. Then I became the chair. And then I expanded it. I left the Better Living for Seniors with that committee. because I wanted to do a true coalition so that we could get other than just members. The fire department educators really don't want to spend $60 a year on an organization that they can't take advantage of. They're too busy. And there were a lot of people that just would have no value of the Better Living for Seniors networking. So I expanded it so that people wouldn't have to pay a membership fee. It's absolutely free. I don't know how we do it. I don't know how we stay in existence with having no money coming in. I'm not a 501c3, but am thinking about it. But through the graciousness of Pinellas County EMS and Regional 911, they were giving us a lot of money for printed materials. Each fire department gives us a lot of money, not us a lot of money. They spend a lot of money doing a lot of education and passing out of materials. So we've produced a lot of different things under the arm of that coalition. I have to say the Pinellas County is probably one of the most creative counties in falls prevention. We have a senior activity coloring book. My grandson told me that if I wanted people to, and this is when he was about 13, 14 years old, Grandma, if you want people to learn about falls prevention, because I was complaining that people run away from me when I try talking to them about it. He says, you have to have the grandkids tell their grandparents about it. And I said, well, Max, that really makes a lot of good sense. And that's my daughter Denise's son, Max.
Hey, Max.
He's now at Florida State University.
He writes school.
Yeah. But so we have this flower project that we do in the schools. It originally started out for Grandparents' Day because that happens to be a Hallmark holiday in September, which is Falls Prevention Month. And we help the children construct this base with petals that has the 6 steps of falls prevention from the National Coalition on Aging. So it's a very rewarding thing, and people love it, and they love getting something that their kids colored.
Yes. Yep.
So that's just one of the things we did. And then one of the members of my coalition that I was dealing with retired from the Department of Elder Affairs. And she said, why don't you take over the coalition for the state? She said, because there's people in Tallahassee that could benefit from all the wonderful things that you're doing in Pinellas County. So I did. So now our coalition is statewide. We have the Florida Department of Health. We have the Florida Department of Elder Affairs. We have a lot of different physical therapy people, occupational therapists. We have a lot of different senior service businesses that would benefit from all of the education and resources that we have. We have most of the AAAs in the state of Florida are very, very in tune with our coalition. And we had now we can say that we do so many things and we reach so many people, and we really are a great support to one another. But my big thing is to have some form of education every month, via a speaker. Just this month we had from a recommendation from American Bone Health. I've been wanting to get somebody to speak on osteoporosis, and she was excellent.
Yes, she
Dr.
was.
Kathleen Camp from University of North Texas Health Science Center.
Yeah, I made that one.
Professors, and she graciously shared her slides so that people who couldn't attend the meeting could also get that important information, because osteoporosis is becoming very critical. It's not near crisis yet, but it's very, very. It happens too often that people break bones before they fall. Which is an unusual thing. We think that when you fall, you break a bone, but people are walking down the stairs and they break their hip because it's so brittle, and then they fall, which is maybe
a hairline fracture or a moderate.
But it's a much harder fall then, and it takes a much longer recuperation, and of course has a much greater chance of death, because after a broken hip, people develop pneumonia and then they pass.
Right. I need to do more research on that myself, because I've read it before about the impact of a hip surgery and a hip fracture, but I don't know why it's so impactful to the body.
Right.
But that's something interesting to learn about.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of fatality that happens after a hip fracture. Like,
Right.
really, it really is. Like, people are not aware of that.
And you wouldn't really associate the hip with the lung,
right.
you know.
I know that's what is so intriguing for me.
Yeah.
Like how that has anything to do with what maybe have resulted after the fact.
Right.
I really don't know. So I need to investigate that myself as well.
Right.
So, but Falls Free, Florida Coalition. Do you remember the year in which you took over?
It will be 2 years.
2 years.
In January. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So, I mean, there's so many people that are involved, from state agencies to the county level individuals, people of nonprofit organizations, people that are business owners that are part of Falls Free Florida, and I just think that it'd be very impactful to see. I would say Falls Free Florida join more of, I guess, a lot of the Chamber of Commerce as well. Throughout the state of Florida as well, to become members of that. So that way we can sort of integrate into the communities.
Right.
And I think that'll be a great step for, members of the Chamber of Commerce for each city to become a part of Falls Free Florida as well.
And I'm looking for different universities to come in too.
That's really good.
Because when I was actually invited by the National Coalition on Aging recently in early September to go to Arlington for their 10-year conference. It happens every year, and they only invite specific people from the United States to do the planning for their falls prevention campaigns, for the next 10 years.
Wow.
So it was really
honor.
an eye-opening. It was just fantastic. I met people from all around the United States. And it was just really an eye-opener on what we need to do. We're still and people couldn't believe that we have monthly meetings. They say, "Oh, we meet quarterly. We meet every 6 months." And I thought, well, that's great. I think you need to meet monthly because there's so many things that happen every day in our particular, in at least my physical realm of business.
Yes.
Somebody is inventing something new that's going to help somebody. There are young people coming in with terrific minds wanting to be prosthetic engineers. And they're developing prosthetics now for people that are so much like your own hand, your own foot, your own leg. And it's just really so amazing to me that it is changing every single day.
That's good. Always advancement. And what advancements and future growth that you have that you're excited about when it pertains to access and design?
Well, I think our growth, we consistently do more volume. I love now putting in the hybrid elevators. It's a vertical platform lift that goes up 3 stories high. It's especially so wonderful for coastal communities. Elevators, to maintain an elevator is very expensive on an elevator contract. It's $500 to $750 a month.
Yes.
Okay. Elevator companies don't make money putting in the elevator. They make the money on the maintenance piece. Okay.
And typically, right, if I'm not mistaken, you can only use like the company that actually installed it or maybe built the elevator as well, right?
Well,
am I wrong?
And that's another thing. If you install something, you should service that. And I have to tell you, we are servicing everybody else's installations because there's not as much money in service as there is, in sales and installation. So a lot of the companies out there want to sell you something, but they won't service you. Okay. And then they call us, "Oh, well, you can call Access and Design in St. Petersburg. They'll come down to Fort Myers to help you." Well, when we have to go to the VA in Fort Myers or Sanibel, to redo a lot of the things that happened with the hurricane, nobody else wanted to go down there. And we said, really, you can't find anybody else. But we do, only because we love our servicemen. We love our veterans, and we want to do something to help them because they deserve that. But it really angers me, that these companies will not spend the time and trouble to service what they install. And so many times it's not installed correctly, which makes me even more angry because people have to get more rails or something, or sometimes on an outside unit, they put in an inside unit. It's specially made and specially sealed against salt water corrosion and the elements. So if you have an outside situation of a vertical platform lift, you need to have the outside package on your equipment. And that's just very, they'll do that in order to get the contract, but because they don't care. And that just makes me angry.
Shortcut.
If you're helping people with disabilities, you should never take advantage of them.
Right.
You should want to help them, and that's what we primarily do. And I have to tell you, the people that work for us feel good at the end of every day.
That's good.
They feel good when they come home. They really accomplished something. And I talked to my grandson. He said, Grandma, I think I'm going to take over Access and Design when I graduate college.
Oh.
And I said, okay, that would be great, Max.
Yeah.
And he says, because there's just nothing like it. Because he works for us when he doesn't have school.
Man.
And says, it's
really
just so amazing to feel so good that you help people.
Right. And it has to feel good too that the work that you're doing, your lineage, your kids recognize it, honors it, and actually wants to follow sort of in your footsteps and sort of help people as well. Like that has to be very fulfilling for you, and more rewarding as well, So, yeah. But I think it attributes to how impactful you are as a person. Not only you're impactful in your household as a mother, person that really just took her family by, herself and, along with your mother and raised your kids, instilled in them commitment to others, right? And just your journey is amazing. And I'm glad that we're able to share it here on the Let's Get Comfy podcast. And as we wrap up, do you have any final messages out there, whether it's to say to family of caregivers, whether it's say to your own family, anything you'd like to share?
I started my business when I was 70 years old, okay? And getting a construction license in the state of Florida is just not easy. I had to bring 2 huge suitcases with me filled with books. It's an open book exam for several hours, but it's very grueling, and most people have to take it 3, 4, 5 times. Okay, I did fail the operation portion because it was a lot of math, and I asked for help with my instructor so I could go take it again. And he said, "Oh, I'm just too busy. My wife has me doing stuff on Saturday, and that'd be the only time I would have." So I went on YouTube, and this 12-year-old boy taught me pi r square, how to figure the trapezoid volume to dig and then haul away in trucks of a certain volume so that I would be able to pass that exam. And I did. And thank you to that little kid out there who made a lot of sense, because he talked my language and I totally could understand him. So if you ever get stuck, there's always someone who's going to help you find your way. And people said, "Oh, well, why would you want to go into business?" Oh, my friends, "Oh, that's just silly. Why don't you just take it easy? You're 70 years old. Why would you want to start a business at 70? And I went, "Well, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't?" Because right now, at that time, nobody was really doing aging in place. Mm-hmm. Okay? And since then, there's been a lot of more companies that have popped up that are doing that. But I wanted to do it correctly, and I wanted to do it so that it would be good for the people, and I wanted to be able to build an arsenal of resources so that people that couldn't afford the modifications would be able to get them in some way. Through sometimes we get only $500, like from the Diabetes Association, towards a ramp, but then we have to go to another source to get a little bit here, a little bit there. But we're going to make sure that person gets the ramp by hook or by crook. So there's always a way to overcome something. Just don't give up, and don't listen to all the noise that people give you. Do what you think is right from your heart.
Yes. Right. And that's why, honestly, it's so impactful to have a network of associates, people that can empower you and motivate you. Because if you keep your circle small sometimes and not branch out, and those type of people can deter you and keep you complacent as well. And not knocking your friends, by the way, but it's just the truth.
They are complacent.
Yeah. But I thank you for being the pioneer that you are. So we're sitting here today with the pioneer and legendary person who almost could I say you started aging in place in Florida?
Well,
Is that too
I mean,
cocky to say that?
it's always been there.
It's always been okay.
Always been there. AARP
AARP, all
is
right.
really trying to bring it to the forefront with the
Gotcha.
Aging in Place booklet. And again, aarp.org/homefit. That'll give you a ton of information because this is a big deal.
It's a big deal.
To
Okay.
be able to remodel your home, to be able to stay in it. But you have to understand and what do you want to continue doing? That's what I always tell people. Number one, what do you want to continue doing? You want to continue gardening? Well, you can do raised gardening beds so that if you're in a wheelchair, you can continue to garden and do something that you love. There's always a way to do something.
Got it. What do you want to continue doing?
Right.
And
It
how
makes
can
you
you do that long term?
Right.
When you're no longer able to have all function ability, how can you put yourself in place, in positioning, your home in positioning, to be able to have those function to do the things you enjoy?
Correct.
Continuously. That's an amazing way to put it.
Yep.
And on that note, I'm going to say in my mind, I have the legendary, the pioneer of aging in place. He is right here on the Let's Get Comfy podcast. Miss Arlene Grosso, to you and your family, your kids, I commend you all for your mission and how they were able to honor their mother. That's in the Bible as well. Honor their mother and provide back to caregivers and help people each and every day. So thank you for joining the show.
My pleasure.
It's my honor again, and I look forward to having many more years with you and as an associate, a friend, someone that I can learn from, mentor. And I know, and I hope people out there take an opportunity and visit a website. And if you don't mind, before we wrap up, if you can share where people can find your information, your website, whether it's on social media, any of those things, where can they find you?
It's www.accessanddesignfl.com.
All right.
And is spelled out because you can't have the ampersand in there. So it's accessanddesignfl for Florida.com. And it's 727-233-4900.
All right. Knowledge and resources, access and design. Please go on to YouTube at the Let's Get Comfy podcast. Please subscribe to the channel. Comment. If you have any questions, use that comment section there below to make sure you share your thoughts in regards to this episode. If you have any questions, Ms. Arlene Grosso gave you her contact information. Also, you can visit www.comfortmeasuresconsulting.com. I'd love to have a conversation with you if you need any assistance with healthcare navigation, or to reach out if you don't feel so comfortable reaching out. Either one, I'm going to connect you with Ms. Grosso for sure. And as well, check out my Facebook. If some people don't access YouTube, we're also available on Facebook at Comfort Measures Consulting there, as well as Instagram, Comfort Measures Consulting. So we thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Let's Get Comfy podcast. See you next show.